So, you heard everything you needed to hear about the new Ryzen CPUs. Well, now it's time to jump into graphics. What's up guys, I'm Snows and this is your boot sequence. AMD started their Computex presentation with a recap on what they've done so far. Their brand new top-of-the-line $700 extremely powerful Radeon 7 that unfortunately doesn't perform that well in games when compared to the RTX 2080. Now let's be real, it's great in some games and it really kills it in productivity. My preferred video editing and 3D modeling softwares would love to have a Radeon 7 in it, but for games it wasn't the be-all end-all. Anyways, they quickly moved on into Navi. Well, sort of. AMD quickly recapped the fact that they partnered up with Sony for the PS5 and made sure that we knew about it. Then they talked about Navi for desktop. Apparently, AMD actually dropped the GCN naming scheme for this one and switched it up for RDNA. Now, if you studied in biochemistry or whatever, RDNA is actually a thing already, so that might be the reason why Dr. Lisa Su made sure that we understood she was talking about Radeon DNA and not ribosomal or recombination DNA.
RDNA architecture, Radeon DNA. This is different from GCN. And again, we call this Radeon DNA. So the R has a red Radeon here. The way to think about it is
RDNA is an all-new 7nm architecture with faster clock speeds, better gaming performance, and lower power consumption. Oh, and it's compatible with PCIe Gen 4. Of course, cool, no doubt, no doubt. So what's gonna happen with GCN? Well, apparently GCN will stay put on the server side with newer versions of Vega. I can't quite believe they're gonna keep Vega alive for that long, but it will be discontinued, or at least the naming scheme will be for Navi. I suspect this is just a rebrand of their core architecture. RDNA is probably just GCN in disguise for the gamer. Anyways, she gave us some information about RDNA versus GCN, or Navi versus Vega, and she says that we get about 25% extra performance clock for clock on Navi. And once all the improvements are added, like memory, power consumption, etc., we get 1.5x in performance per watt improvement, which is pretty amazing. This means these new cards will likely not be as power hungry as we thought. The new Navi cards will also have a new naming scheme that we actually have not heard before. It will not be the RX 3000 series, but rather the RX 5000 line of GPUs. Looks like they 3-upped Nvidia on that one. Lisa says that this was done because of their 50th anniversary, so 5000 made sense. They had a benchmark of Strange Brigade running on the RX 5000 and they placed it against an RTX 2070. In this specific benchmark, the RX 5000 beats the RTX 2070 by 10% on average. The cards will be available for purchase in July, and we were referred to E3 for the rest of the specs. That's all we got for Navi really, nothing more. At least what we can tell is that this RX 5000 card is likely the one we've heard about when the Sapphire employee spilled the beans on Navi, although the fact that it beats the RTX 2070 by such a small margin is kind of concerning. I mean, Strange Brigade and maybe World War Z are pretty much the only games where AMD beats Nvidia with their Radeon 7. I mean, both cards are at the same price, but the RTX 2080 beats the Radeon 7 consistently in most games except for this one. So this RX 5000 might beat the RTX 2070 on this one, but what about all of the other games? This isn't all lost though. AMD did say that the RX 5000 is a preview, or whatever that means. They still have until E3 to surprise us, but it's definitely a cause for a tiny bit of panic. Oh, and oddly enough, the RX 5000 made a brief appearance during the Ryzen demo in 3D Mark. They had a system with a 9900K and a 2080 Ti, and another with a Ryzen 3800X and a Navi RX 5700. Now the AMD system completely wrecked the Intel Nvidia system, but this was just a test of the PCIe bandwidth. So before you start hearing that the AMD system destroyed Intel and Nvidia, remember that this was not a compute or graphical performance test, but just a bandwidth one, and since AMD is now on PCIe Gen 4, it kind of makes sense. Then we had a couple of manufacturers such as Acer pass by to talk about their upcoming desktops coming with both AMD's 3rd gen Ryzen and Navi processors. I do think that it's exciting to see all the new AMD stuff, but we really did not get enough today to topple the tides. Navi seems like a very capable GPU, but the pricing is definitely going to make it or break it. So what do you guys think? Is this slim 10% advantage over the RTX 2070 cause for concern? And at what price point would you consider it fair? As usual, you can leave your comments down below. If you have any questions, leave them down there too. Click right here to see the Ryzen Computex coverage, right here to subscribe to the channel. Stay frosty, and I'll see you on the next one. By the way, my voice is tired because I've just filmed the Ryzen one. Now I'm filming the Navi one, doing both back to back. Anyways, take care, guys. I'm not gonna sleep. There's not gonna be any sleep.